This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're looking at the Nokia Lumia 920 on AT&T. This is the US version for AT&T, 4.5-inch display, LTE, available in a lot of zingy colors, including this red here, and we're going to look at it now. So here it is, probably the most anticipated Windows Phone 8 smartphone, the Nokia Lumia 920. It's available now on AT&T for just $99 on contract and $449 without. And if you're one of the early adopters, you'll get a free charging mat, because this has, well, basically a charging mat that you can put it on, so you can charge it without having to plug in the charger to the USB port that's on the bottom right here. And you can see there's a micro USB port surrounded by little stereo speakers. So clearly it's running Windows Phone 8, which is the latest, greatest operating system from Microsoft for smartphones. And we see a lot of improvement here over Windows Phone 7, which we were pretty bullish on. We liked it a lot, but definitely some refinements here, including things like, you can see these little quarter-size tiles right here. Now you can resize your tiles to be quarter size, to be full size, to be regular size. And we have an excellent 4.5-inch display here. Really nice color saturation, good rejection of reflections, very, very bright. And the automatic light sensor works so nicely on this that I haven't once fiddled with the brightness on. I've just left it on auto bright, and it's always been just what I wanted in a variety of settings. The display resolution is also much improved over the 800 by 480 we saw in Windows Phone 7, and this is 1280 by 768, so quite capable, quite comparable to anything you're going to find on Android, for example. Not quite the high pixel density you're going to see on the iPhone 5's Retina display, but pretty darn sharp and clear. This is Gorilla Glass, by the way, for durability, and it's a curved glass display, kind of reminiscent of the Lumia 800 in a way. It's a little hard to see unless you're looking at it in person, but there's a nice little bevel here and a ridge. And you can see the design is curved. Well, this has basically the same footprint as the Lumia 900, also available on AT&T. This guy's a little thicker because it bows out a little bit more here. Holds a bigger battery inside, holds a bigger camera module, so the reasons why it has to be bigger. Still a sealed design. You can see the little screws actually hold the thing together, but there's no back battery door to hold it together. It's a unibody design. Nice and clean, very similar to the 900. More color choices here. On AT&T, you have your choice of black, white, this zingy red here, kind of a lemon yellow, and gorgeous cyan. The cyan and the black are matte finish, the others are glossy finish. As you can see, we've got some reflections here. Dual LED flash right here, Carl Zeiss lens on your 8.7 megapixel camera. Now, Nokia did a whole lot of promotion of this camera here, but yeah, it's a good camera, 8.7 megapixel. It's not the world's best camera on a smartphone, but it's quite good. Top here we have our headphone, 3.5 millimeter combo with mic jack and little pop open door. You get a tool to pop this out and your micro SIM goes in there. And there's a front video chat camera. Oddly at launch, no Skype for Windows Phone 8. Go figure, you can get it on regular Windows 8 and Windows 8 RT, but Microsoft said it is coming soon, and it was available for Windows Phone 7, so we should see the Skype integration coming quickly. On the side here, we have a dedicated camera button. This is our power button, and these are your volume controls. And I kind of like the smoky color that they went with here instead of just bright chrome or silver. It goes well to accent along with the display color right here. So aesthetically pleasing, very nice. Quite a heavy phone, as heavy as the Samsung Galaxy Note 2. It's over 6 ounces in weight. For a 4.5-inch phone, that's, well, surprisingly heavy. You'll feel it in your pocket because of that. It's also not particularly teeny for a 4.5-inch phone, and we'll show you compared to the Samsung Galaxy S3, which admittedly Samsung did an amazing job of making that 4.8-inch display phone as small as possible, but here we have it next to the Galaxy S3, and they're about the same size, even though the Galaxy is a 4.8-inch display size phone. And here we have it with the iPhone 5, a 4-inch display phone, so obviously it's going to be smaller. Put them on top of each other, you can see you've got just quite a bit of room around the edges. So back to the display again, it's a maximum 600 nits of brightness, incredibly bright, and the pixel density is 332 ppi, so that's very high for any smartphone or mobile device. This is an IPS display, so you have wide viewing angles. So you can see as we turn it, it disappears some, but it manages to keep things pretty visible. And it has that sort of polarizing filter over the top that helps with seeing it in sunlight. In terms of hardware specs, things have really picked up. The Windows Phone 7 devices were really a generation behind at least when it came to the CPU and other internals. Now we've got the Same Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Crate CPU you'll find in top Android phones running at the same 1.5 gigahertz as a dual-core CPU, so very capable. And an Antutu benchmark, which has gone cross-platform, has scored 11,400, which is as fast as the top Android phones, which is to be expected since it's got the same CPU. It has a gig of RAM inside and 32 gigs of storage. There is no removable storage. There tends not to be with Windows Phone because it handles removable storage in a challenging way, shall we say. It does some encryption and DRM security stuff on cards, so pretty much no manufacturer wants to touch the idea of removing any storage. So 32 gigs here. You also get 7 gigs of SkyDrive cloud storage with the phone. If you've looked at Windows Phone 7, the interface obviously is going to be familiar here. You've got all your live tiles, and some of these can update and actually show you information. For example, I see for my Seismic, which is a Twitter application, I've got 99 updates over here. And we've got the Weather Channel, which tells us our forecast right now. It tells me what my next appointment is. In this case, it happens to be a holiday. And new social networking items, because we have the same integration here with Facebook and Twitter that we saw in Windows Phone 7. And that's really one of the delightful things here. So I can see the last thing that I shared on Twitter, complaining about the fact I have a little virus right now. Oh well. I can post an update, I can check in somewhere, I can swipe sideways and see what people have been tweeting and Facebooking at me, what's new in general, and more sharing stuff. So the social networking integration here is pretty darn nice. And for the web browser, we've got IE10. Now this is the mobilized version. You don't get all the features that you're going to see on the full desktop version of IE10 on a Windows 8 or Windows 8 RT notebook or tablet, but you get certainly an excellent HTML5 engine, good scrolling speed, smooth, and better compatibility than we saw in IE previously on Windows Phone 7 devices. This is great. This right here handles layouts pretty nicely. We don't see any weird reflow issues. We're looking at our full desktop site right here. Behaves well. Now let's check out a video and see how it handles HTML5 video, since we're not doing Flash here. Keeps the text a readable size by default. It's always pleasant. Plays just fine, looks smooth, nice and sharp, reasonably good volume. We're at 2/3 of volume right now. One thing that didn't change with Windows Phone 8 over Windows Phone 7 that drives me crazy is there's monolithic volume control. That means when you want to control volume for multimedia playback, you use the volume keys here, and that also changes your ringtone volume. Now how do you get to all of your applications? Just swipe this way, and here's a list of all applications. If it gets too long, they'll start to be represented by letters of the alphabet and bulleted out. And you can see the apps that are pre-installed here. Now I've downloaded some, but we have several AT&T apps like Code Scanner, which is a square barcode scanner. It's pretty handy. Family Map, AT&T Navigator, if you want that navigation, AT&T Radio, AT&T UVerse. Now what if you don't want some of these bundled applications? That's the sweet thing about Windows Phone. The rule is that anything and everything that you don't want can be removed. So I can either pin it to my start menu or I can uninstall it. Gone. Now if I wanted it back, I could download it again from the Windows Marketplace store. So we've got all the basics: calendar, calculator, PIMS, all this stuff. Obviously it's going to sync to Exchange real well. It also syncs to Google quite well for calendar, contacts, email, including push email. Works just as quickly to get email and calendar updates and stuff like that on this as it does on my Android phones. We've got music and videos. We've got a bunch of Nokia value-added apps, and they really are a selling point. For example, you get turn-by-turn directions, and you get Nokia maps with the ability to download maps for free, no charge there, locally to the phone, so you don't have to use your data connection on the go if you don't want to. Then we have standard apps like your photo app, a wallet to save your passcodes, and it tries to do kind of like the same thing that Apple's new wallet application does. Yellow Pages Mobile, you can't escape that with AT&T phones, but wait, yes you can. We can get rid of that too if we don't want it. Bye. And they pre-install the Weather Channel, which I think most people are going to find useful. And I've downloaded SkyDrive. It was not pre-installed, but it's a handy way to cloud store things. And by the way, this can sync to to the cloud. You can back up your settings there, and you can have photos automatically synced to SkyDrive. Now that's your own personal section there. It doesn't mean everybody in the world can see your little SkyDrive photo storage unless you want them to. So that's a handy way to keep things in sync. And if you have a Windows 8 device, and we've been testing several of those using the same account, then photos that you take with your phone are actually going to automatically appear in the Photos app on your Windows 8 laptop or tablet. Pretty cool. We've got handy dandy little live tiles already set up for SMS messaging. This is the marketplace we'll show you in a minute, and our email, which takes you to all your email accounts, and also you can create live tiles like I have one here just for my Google Mail, so you can just check mail individually, and this will update and show you a numerical count in case you get new mails in. We also have Nokia City Lens here, which is Nokia's augmented reality application. Kind of cool, kind of creepy at the same time. Local Scout, that's been around since Windows Phone 7. That tells you about things that are happening in your area, restaurants you might want to eat at, concerts. You can choose the kinds of things that are of interest, amusements, carnivals, you name it. And we have Office here, and you can see I can either look at documents on the phone, open email attachments, go to SkyDrive, or use Office 365, and you can create your own new documents. So we'll take a look at a sample document here for Word, which is a pretty rich document. And this has very basic editing. This is not like Office 2013 on RT tablets or full Office 2013. You get to type, you get to put in some pictures, some basic formatting, but it certainly gets the job done, and you have maximal compatibility since it's made by Microsoft. So that includes Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. And here we're looking at the Microsoft Store for application. Again, it's largely the same as on Windows Phone 7 for those who've used it, and it's customized here with Nokia and AT&T stuff since this is a AT&T Nokia phone. And we have various subtypes we can look at here, and you can see, browse what they're recommending right now, things I think might be cool in various genres. And there are about 100,000 applications right now on the store, which is pretty impressive for a phone that has certainly less than 10% of a worldwide market share right now. But you're going to find your staples are there. We got Netflix, we have bandwidth testers, we have social networking like Facebook with live tile updates. So there's a good amount of stuff here, but you're still not going to find obviously everything that you would on an Android or a iPhone device right now. Now, really this is going to depend on how much traction this gets as a platform. When it comes to Windows 8 itself that runs on desktops and notebooks, we have faith that a lot of stuff is going to pop up because so much of the world uses Windows machines. But when it comes to phones right now, obviously their market share is small, so some developers haven't jumped on board. There's certainly enough here to keep you busy, but some of your favorite apps might not be there. And I would suggest you take a look at Microsoft's website and see if you can do some research if you have some absolute killer apps you have to have. One place where the phone does do well is with gaming, thanks to their whole Xbox initiative. But still, some of the games that are real popular right now, like Dead Trigger, you're not going to find on Windows Phone, but you're going to find some other titles that you might not find on iOS or Android either. You can see we've got a couple of games installed already, like Civ Revolution, Sonic 4, Assassin's Creed, Age of Sorcery. And you can browse for games in various categories here. Xbox compatible games for syncing your information, collections, top free games. And we'll look at action and adventure and see what's there. And we have Angry Birds. There's a real action-packed game in it, but it is popular. Fruit Ninja, Gun Brothers. I love Katamari. More Angry Birds, Fragger, Fusion. So there's some very nice high-quality games here, even if they're not quite the same ones that you're going to find on iOS and Android. And they play very nicely as well. That's what really helps. Just like with the iPhone, when the manufacturer controls a platform very tightly, you can get a very good experience out of the hardware. So let's go with our games that we have installed. So we'll check out Assassin's Creed. Game looks pretty good, even though it was originally designed for 800 by 480 resolution devices. It still looks pretty sharp. There's a nice cutscene. Pretty good speaker on this. Very nice sound with headphones, by the way. I'll skip the rest of that. Virtual D-pad works pretty well on this. Whoops. But still, can ram into a spike every once in a while. Game plays smoothly enough and the graphics look nice on it. Controls are pretty good too. Well, this is a tough bit right here. And we've also got music and video players, now called Xbox Live Music and Video Players. Also works with your old Zune stuff, for those of you who actually had Zune stuff. And it's broken down music, videos, podcasts, and store. History of things I've been playing. And apps that are related to music playback and video playback here. Some that aren't quite, like the Weather Channel. Funny that that one shows up. And we've got the Xbox Smart Glass here, for those of you who like the idea of using this with your Xbox. And the store if you want to buy stuff. So we'll take a look at the music interface. And it's an attractive enough player. And it plays in the background too. So if I hit the home button, it's going to keep playing. And whenever I hit the volume controls, it'll come back. There we go. Stop it as easily as that. Start it back up. And if you want to check out videos, we're going to check out our Avengers. This is a 1080p trailer. Really, really nice screen. Just a pleasure for watching videos. Nice color saturation, super sharp. Now, how do you get content on here? Obviously, you can use SkyDrive, you can use cloud services, anything. If you do use Xbox services, you have Xbox Music or videos or your Zune stuff, you can get that off of the cloud as well. And you can just use the USB cable. There's a Windows Phone connector for Mac, for those of you who use the Mac, and that syncs with iTunes playlists and music, anything that's not DRM'd in iTunes. I found that to be a little hit or miss, a little bit flaky. I had more luck with Windows Phone 7 devices, probably a little work to be done there. And on regular Windows machines, you can just plug in the USB cable and use Windows Explorer, or you can download their syncing little app that helps you sync to iTunes if you actually have iTunes content on there. So it's pretty easy, and you do have access to the file system now when you plug it in via USB. You see folders for music, for videos, for photos. So you can get your photos on and off just by plugging in the USB cable now too. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Windows Phone, by the way, we have 3 buttons down here. That's a standard requirement. Back button, this is your home button, and this is the search button. The search button does all sorts of things. You have basic Bing search, you can do location-based search, you can search your music, you can look for stuff that's playing in theaters around you. So it's kind of search on steroids, and we have voice command here too. Where is Cloud Atlas playing in movie theaters? And we get Fandango results for finding movie. Voice control on this works pretty well in voice command. It does a reasonably good job of hearing. Call quality on the phone is good. In fact, I would call it very good. Not quite as sharp and clear as the Samsung Galaxy S3 though on AT&T. Voice is very full, not quite as sharp with the high range in voice calls though. Very large, easy to use dialer. You also have access to your call log and to your contacts from within here, so definitely easy to use. And data speeds on the phone have been good. Now, previously with Windows Phone, sometimes your LTE connection wasn't everything it could have been in terms of data transfer speeds, and there still aren't a lot of bandwidth tests available for this. There are a couple, but we are seeing speeds that are similar to our iPhone 5 and Samsung Galaxy S3, and in terms of actual page load times, it's very quick. The SunSpider JavaScript test is scored 911. Lower numbers are better. That's absolutely astoundingly excellent. That's right up there with the iPhone 5 that scored 922, and about twice as good as a lot of current popular higher-end Android phones that are scoring around 1800. And you can see here we have an internet sharing option, so you can use this as a Wi-Fi based mobile hotspot for your tablet or your notebook computer. And while we're looking at settings, you can see we have Kids Corner here, so you can actually make this kid safe and just give your kids access to the things that they should be having access to. You can find out how much storage you have left, how the battery is doing. You can set whether it backs up to the cloud or backs up, not backing up to the cloud. So here you see you can back up your app list and settings, your text messages, and your photos to the cloud. And the rest of the stuff's pretty standard. Brightness, keyboard, sound, ringtones. A lot easier to get ringtones on here than it used to be. You can just pretty much drag any song over and turn it into a ringtone now. And of course for themes, if you don't like the tile color that you've got there, though, you might feel like you should be matching the color of your phone a little bit, but let's switch over to red to match our phone. Simple as that. So, red tiles now. When it comes to calling, if there is anybody that you call a lot, you can actually turn them into a live tile, and it'll show you a cute little picture of their face, and also when you tap on that live tile, it'll show you the last Twitter or Facebook entry that they've made and other things you can do, like email them and so on. The phone also has dual band Wi-Fi, 802.11 BGN, Bluetooth 3.0, obviously a GPS, that works with Nokia Maps and with AT&T Navigator. You get turn-by-turn direction with those, and Nokia Maps is free, and it actually works pretty well. And it has NFC as well, and it comes with one NFC smart tag. So the way those works is you set up an NFC interaction, and whenever you put the phone on the tag, it does what it's supposed to do. So say you keep that on your bedstand and you tell it to go into silent mode, it'll do that. And now we're looking at the camera here. Nice sharp viewfinder. I really can't get over how nice the screen looks. So to launch a camera, you just press and hold the camera button. It's as easy as that. You don't have to worry about finding your little icon or anything like that. You can switch to video mode up here. You can shoot 1080p video. You can switch between which camera you're using, control your flash. Get to more settings over here. Scene selection, close-up, night portrait, sports backlight, ISO, exposure, white balance, aspect ratio 16:9 by default, and focus assist, which is on, and we're going to leave it on. So you can tap to shoot and focus, or you can use the two-stage shutter button. Pretty stiff button there. I find it a little easier to tap on the screen myself. And there's the last picture we took just by hitting the back arrow. And we can get back into the camera just by swiping in the other direction, which is pretty cool. Now we'll switch to video recording mode. And record some video. And here's an exciting video that we shot. Good looking video. It does particularly well with low light shots. I notice evening shots are quite nice. You get blacks, but you also get some colors, and lights, say street lights and things like that do show up well. Again, it may not be the very best camera phone ever made, but it's quite nice, and it certainly holds its own against the Samsung Galaxy S3, the Note 2, and the iPhone 5. The phone has a 2,000 milliamp battery that's sealed inside, and interestingly, Nokia claims 9 hours of talk time on 3G and 7.5 on 2G. Go figure. Usually, the faster the data technology, the less time you're going to have. We found that I have no trouble making it through the day with this phone, usually a day and a half with moderate use, so it's holding up just quite nicely. Certainly it's going to be comparable, I would say, to the iPhone 5, and maybe a little bit better battery life than my Samsung Galaxy S3. The Lumia 920 certainly compares nicely to the HTC 8X, but that phone costs twice as much on contract with AT&T, unless you go for the pared down 8 gig storage model. And with Windows Phone, if you're buying it for the spirit of Windows Phone, which is to say nice music and video integration, you want to carry a lot of content, 8 gigs is just not enough. And obviously you're going to have less because the operating system and associated files take up some space on it. So yeah, I think this is going to sell a lot more over the 8X. Personally, I would pick this over HTC's offering. We will have a video review of that phone as well. For 99 bucks, man, this is a lot of phone with nice high-end specs, a beautiful display, good LTE speeds, a very nice browser. The only caveat is still that 100,000 applications, well, that's a lot of apps, but it's not as much as you're going to see for Android and for the iPhone. If the apps that you're interested in are already on the phone, the features and functions like the video player, the email support, the GPS and stuff, then that's great. And if the downloads are good for you, certainly Xbox games is a nice selection. That's fine. But I would say look around, visit Microsoft's site and see if there are any particular apps that you really care about, whether they're here. We have things like Evernote on board, I've got Netflix, so the things that I mostly care about are available right now. Another nice thing is if you're into Windows 8 and you've already gotten yourself a new Windows 8 laptop or desktop or tablet, the integration is very nice for content, for things like just having your music, your photos, and your videos showing up on all devices very easily without having to get geeky and set up syncing or use USB cables if you don't want to. Certainly nice. It's great to see a third operating system also as an alternative, because Android and the iPhone have pretty much dominated for several years now, and Microsoft's clearly working hard on it. A lot of improvement here. More features on this phone, things like your internet connection sharing, more customizable home screen access to storage via the USB cable if you want to have that directly. All good steps in the right direction. A very pleasant phone to use, very easy. It's similar to the iPhone in the way that it is just very easy to use. I think you give this to anybody and they would just play around with it and get the idea of how to use it. Probably more friendly for most people than Android is if you're thinking about getting this phone for a newbie. But the nice thing about this compared to the iPhone is that you do have a somewhat more customizable interface. You have these live tiles. You can choose what's presented on your home screen. Many of them do update and give you information at a glance without having to tap on an icon and go into an app, though the iPhone's new notification center goes a long way towards helping with getting some key updates available. So that's the Nokia Lumia 920, available now on AT&T, $99 with contract, one of the first Windows Phone 8 devices, and arguably one of the very best. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Visit our website for the full review, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.